Now you're on.
Okay. Thanks. Hello there. Welcome to Real Talk with Angry Soccer Mom. This was not easy to get on tonight. I apologize for the late start. I've been trying to get on since 9 Eastern, but I think I'm finally on. I will certainly find out soon enough if I'm not. I am so sorry if people were waiting. Very happy you're here now. I'm not sure what happened, but I'm here now. This week's discussion topics, as usual, are anything you feel is newsworthy about racism, bigotry, inequality, and corruption in America. And right about now, unfortunately, that's pretty much everything. Sad to say. So the show is meant to be an opportunity for people to speak their mind about real life and how it feels living in this, basically really, really messed up society that boasts liberty and justice for all, but has absolutely no intention of giving it and allowing it for all. So it's meant to be an opportunity for people to speak their minds, also to serve as an educational tool for white people, so they understand and learn the truth about systemic racism in America. So if you are here, please say hello. It might be kind of a quiet night because we had a big show yesterday and it was awesome and crazy and I loved the conversation. So before I start, for people who might watch this afterwards, I am Angry Soccer Mom, and if you like what you see and you want to learn more, or you just want to get involved and actually help support my channel by, coming on videos, giving me your opinion, definitely subscribe and ring the bell. And I want to know what you think. This is all about trying to get the voices of real life people. That's what I use my platform for. I want to know what you think. And, I yak and I blab and all that, but I really want to know what you think. So please consider subscribing. And if you want to support me, get your friends to subscribe, anyone who would benefit. Because remember, no person who's in a historically marginalized group has any obligation to educate those in numerical majority groups. I mean, some people might want to because they like it, but you don't have to be tormented all day and then, come home to having to teach people how to be human at night. It's just not cool. So just wanted to make sure you know that. A few announcements. Thank you to everybody who came yesterday. That was very exciting. And I loved it. It was really cool. I stayed up way too late. So, but I really appreciated it. It was great. If you want the number for the Tuesday call-in show, you can have it, but I can't give it to you right now. So I can only give it to you if you go on, because we had so many trolls. That was the problem. We had so many crazy trolls, so we're being very careful. But if you do want the number, just go onto my Facebook page called Angry Soccer Mom and personal message me, and I will check you out and see if you're legit and not a troll, and I'll give you the number. Okay, because I love Collins. Nails and Glitter, welcome. Yay, thanks for being here. I had a rough start getting started. I was going to show an old video, but my computer didn't want me to. So anyway, let me see. What else do I have for announcements? So I'll give you the number. I'm not sure how to use Twitter very well, but I have been on Twitter for quite a while. I can be found at Imagine No Hate on Twitter. And so you can also grab me on there if you want to. Tonight's topics are kind of interesting. They're varied. And my whole reason to be on here is I want to know what you think. I want your opinion. I want you to be able to tell me. I'll read it. And hopefully someone will learn something from what you say. So that'll be really cool. Before I start, I wanted to just mention something. And I'm not sure if the people that are involved were here, but last night in my racing through, all the topics, something happened that was, it might have seemed like a very minor thing to people watching, or I'm not sure. But I wanted to bring it out, not to embarrass people, not to hurt anybody. But I think it's, as white people, we are going to make mistakes. And the only thing we can really do is drop our ego and keep trying. Last night, and I make mistakes all the time, but I have to understand, I got to make it into a learning, learn from it and don't do it again. Last night, somebody I had a caller call in, a very special caller, and somebody put, and I didn't at the time, Pat, hello, yay, I'm so happy you're here. At the time, I didn't know who put it because I was kind of all over the place and lots of comments were coming in. But somebody basically tried to, they were talking to me, trying to get me to hang up on the caller, basically. And I wanted to explain, as it turned out, I found out who it was. Hi, Anton. Yay, I'm so happy you're here. As it turned out, it happened to be a scenario that is all too common in our society. And again, I am not trying to hurt anybody, but that's what we're here for. This is real talk. This isn't like, let's pretend everything's, beautiful and lovely talk. Okay. So what happened was one of the white males, I guess I'm not sure what happened because I get to talk to him because I didn't know it was him until tonight, but he wanted to, I guess he thought the caller was talking too much, or maybe he didn't like what she was saying, but he put right on the comments, basically get her off the line. I can't remember what the wording was, but it was absolutely inappropriate. And I wanted to explain why, because you see the caller was actually a friend of mine, and she's a Black woman. And it is all too common for Black people, African-American people, and, people, brown, indigenous, etc., to have their voices stifled. And here's the thing, with racism, it doesn't matter if you meant to do it. Because, of course, some nice people, they don't mean to. They're just uneducated and ignorant. They don't mean to, but it's still racist and it's still discrimination. And so that was a huge example of what we need to be cognizant of. We don't stifle anyone's voice, but certainly on a show like this, it's kind of frowned upon to do it to a Black person who's talking. Now, if you have a problem with them, and I'm not saying everything's about race, but on a show like this is a show for people who live this every day to have more of the spotlight. I would have them on and be in the corner just running it if I could. But at this time in our culture of absolute insanity with regards to safety for non-white people, there's no way in hell. So, we're making the best of it. But I just wanted to point that out. If you're watching in kind of reruns or afterwards, I know the person is a nice person. He did not do it on purpose, I'm sure, but nevertheless, it was a racist thing to do. And I wanted to personally apologize because I didn't catch it because I saw it. I was like, what is that? What? And I was like, oh, whatever, because it was just going, but wasn't good. So we're here to learn and not be defensive. So don't blame me. Just kidding. Anyway, thank you. And if you have a question about it, private message me and we will go on from there. Tonight, I have some pretty intense topics. Sean King, I don't know if you guys follow Sean King. Sean King had some words about Biden. He does not like Biden. So that's going to be one of my topics. Socialist Democrats versus communists. A simple way to tell the difference. And if you know how to tell the difference, it's not too late to go teach your friends. Because if they can learn, then they can teach their friends. So again, last night was amazing. I loved the show. It was fantastic. Another thing I have for tonight is Nathaniel Wood. He is on death row. He is to be put to death tomorrow. And I'll explain why it concerns me deeply. The other thing, Ghost Killa, hello. The other thing is the Milwaukee, Wisconsin mass shooting that was last week. Has anyone heard of it? I lived it before. Y'all just don't know the racism in Mississippi. Yeah. Tell us about it. We want to, that's what this show is for, to learn about it. And you know what? Vicarious learning is all we have. So bring it on. If you want to share, say what you want. I will read it, and on the call-in shows, I'll get you to call in and see what we can do. So the other thing I have is racism and the coronavirus and what is going on. And lastly, if you want at any time during this program, if you want to put top 10 and then just, if you're a Black person or an African-American person and you have something to say to white folks, just put top 10 and then put what you have to say. I'll skip it. I'm doing a video. I want to know what you think. I don't want to do a video of what I think, because what I think is kind of irrelevant, actually. I want to help support Black and African American people. And in order to do that, I use my white privilege to do it. And this show is part of that. So I want to put what you think is important that white people should know. Is, I don't know if you get a forum very much to just say what you want to say. It doesn't have to be nice. It doesn't have to be pretty. I want to know what you want to say. So don't be shy. And at any time, and I'll just grab it later. So you're thinking of topics that you want to talk about, because you can bring up anything you want, because everything seems to, thank you, Nails and Glitter. I'm definitely going to have that one. So Super Tuesday and the Democrats pushing Bernie out. I want to very briefly talk about that because we have a lot to do. So I was starting to feel really hopeful. I thought a progressive might get a chance to, Pat, but get a chance of winning the Democratic nomination, because we've been pulled back so far. A status quo is really not going to help. It'll be great to have Trump out, but let's be real. And the first year will be done like undoing everything all the horrific stuff that Trump's done. A lot of the stuff that Trump's done, we don't know about. And I don't mean to be, arrogant or sanctimonious, but the truth is the man's doing so many damn things. It's hard to keep up. A lot of the stuff he's doing behind closed doors, we are going to be spending years finding out the horrific, inhumane things he's been doing. One of them that I looked into, it was a while ago, is he was looking into the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And part of that has in it that a racist act does not have to be purposeful. And I think that's something that white folks really need to understand, because it doesn't matter if we think, well, we didn't mean it. Well, okay, that's great. I mean, that's a start. That's good. But for us, it doesn't matter if we meant it or not. We did it. It is a racist act. And if it turns to discrimination or harms somebody, it's not about our feelings, I guess is what I'm saying. And of course, if you are a nice person, of course you didn't mean it. You got to not make it about you, though. And that's really hard to do. And as white folks, we'll be practicing that our whole life. But it's really important. And what Trump is trying to do is he had attorneys, according to a good source, he had attorneys look into trying to change that so that it had to be purposeful, which ultimately means it's open season for systemic racism. And there's no legal means to, it was just the most ridiculous thing ever. Obviously, they didn't change it, but that is where we're at with this man. That speaks to everything that he is and is not. So if you're a white person listening, don't for 1 second think that man is not the de facto modern leader of the, Ku Klux Klan. Sorry, just speaking the truth. He's truly a white supremacist and a eugenicist as well. If you look at his old videos, he brags about having the best genes. It's just sick. But anyway, you can tell I'm not really fond of the guy. Nails and Glitter. Trading Biden for Trump is one racist bumbling idiot to another. Yeah, a lot of people feel that way. And it's really scary. The next thing I want to just jump in, and I said this last night, being progressive, all the things that Warren and Sanders, espouse about being progressive, I'm sorry, it's not that progressive. That would maybe bring us up to where we should be a little, but it's only progressive because we don't look at what's going on around us. We've rested on our greatness by talking about it rather than actually being great. I mean, our nation is fantastic at talking about how great we are. My God, we go on and on. But actually being great is living up to our Constitution. And we're not. We're backwards. Let me see. Oh, Robert. One thing white people don't understand about people of color, blacks especially, is that we understand them much better than they understand us. White people have always seen us as invisible. That is a fantastic point. And there have been study after studies done on this. It's unbelievable. And as much as it is just, it permeates every part of our society. It's systemic racism permeates it to the point that a lot of us don't see what we're doing because we're in it. All right. Let me see. Nails and Glitter says, excellent point. Jonathan, do a video with a white person that disagrees with you. Well, you know what, Jonathan, that is so funny that you said that, because I do have a video explaining why I don't do that. A while back, people were trying to get me, it's a great comment, people were trying to get me to debate a Trump supporter. And I'll be honest, the first thing I said is, no way. I'm not going to debate a Trump supporter, because what am I going to say? Let me see. Point one, you're an asshole. I don't know what to say. The person who supports a man who wants to take the human and civil rights away from our fellow humans, what's the debate? I can't, like I said before, I can agree to disagree on a lot of things. But when it comes to agreeing to disagree about the Constitution and my fellow humans' personal rights, I want nothing to do with the person. And I'm extremely privileged that I can say that and pretty much do that. But yeah, I mean, what am I going to say? My defense against you is that you're not a nice person and you're not acting human. I mean, that would be my defense. And I'm not trying to wimp out. It's just, what do you say to someone who is has a character flaw that wide? I mean, because I'm sorry, but I truly believe if you support Trump, then by definition, you are racist. Okay? You might not be an overt Klan member racist. You might have implicit bias, and you might make excuses to yourself. And I'm not saying, because are you racist isn't a yes or no question. It's, for white folks, it's a continuum. So I guess that's all I'm saying. So yeah, I don't do that, because what I say, I mean, I would just be going at their character for being horrible to humans. So yeah, but definitely, ask me questions like that. It's good. Robert, that was a fantastic comment, and Jonathan as well. Robert, we lived a duality where we've always been exclusive. We've lived a duality where they have always been exclusive among themselves. And I assume you're talking about white folks. There is just so much tension for white people to talk about racism. I mean, so because of that, we know so little, and we're afraid. And I'm talking about people in general. There are plenty of people who talk about racism, but not remotely enough. I mean, you'll find a person here and there, but in general, not a chance. So debating a Trump supporter is like beating yourself in the head with a sledgehammer. Don't ever do that. That's kind of how I feel. And also, all I'm going to do is end up putting them down for who they are as a person and who they are not as a human. And that's not really productive. Sadly, I don't know how to get to people who are that far gone. I don't know. So, but anyway, great comments. Thank you so much. So Super Tuesday crushed my cute, tender feelings because I was thinking, this could be so cool. We could actually get hope back. Nails and Glitter. I know a lot of Trump supporters, they're ignorant, not necessarily bad. Right. And it's a really hard place for me to be. Let me explain. And this is really important that people understand who I am, because I know who I am. I talk about people who are racist and not using the full extent of their humanity to be good to everybody. If a person like that was falling off a cliff, I would be the first person to try to save them. I don't wish harm on these people. What you're hearing is my utter and complete frustration. over this human construct that is a crime against humanity, in my opinion. So it's frustration. Like I want to scream. So I'm kind of saying it nicely, but it is something that it shouldn't be this way. Life's not supposed to be this way. And little do a lot of white folks know, it's not good for them either. But we just don't kind of get that, if we even notice it. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just do my best to educate while I'm here. And I don't know everything, but I know it's not right. And I know I can use my white privilege to try to help, at least, even if it does nothing. I got to live with myself. I don't stand there and watch my fellow humans be harmed and lied to. And my God, the BS, liberty and justice for, the cognitive dissonance is overwhelming. So I can't just watch. So sure, I get some, people going after me and stuff like that, but I'm not going to just watch. I'm not going to do it. So, let me see. Jonathan, I think kind of hard on those 10 questions. My question to you is, have you gotten any good questions from Black people yet? If so, name one. Oh, about the ones, the top 10 things that I've gotten a few, like I know definitely don't touch people's hair. That's huge. You're invading their space. They're not a pet. You don't pet them. Is that kind of what you're referring to? Gotten that. I've gotten, somebody said something else and I got to read it and kind of see how I can word it, but I'm really hoping people will tell me what you want to put for the top 10. So I really want to know, but I haven't gotten like too many. Of course, that was nails and glitter. But what you should do is, if you have something that you want, just put top 10 and a dash and put it, or if you want to be private about it, then put it in my inbox me and do that. So let me see. Jillian, thank you for being here. Yay. I was so tired. I had to sleep today. I was exhausted from yesterday, but it was really cool. We had a really cool live show and it was a little bit crazy. Let me see. Jonathan, that's not a question. Robert, you're doing a great deal. You've opened a dialogue that is imperative for relieving pressure for people who feel they are unheard. Thank you, Robert. That's all I want to do. I'm not, some savior. I'm just nobody, to be honest. I really am. But thank you so much. That's really sweet. That's all if I know in my heart that I'm doing something good. It's so funny. People always say, it's out of guilt. And cracks me up, because when people say that, they are just categorically, completely out of touch with who I am. I don't have guilt. I'm pissed. This isn't the way society's supposed to be. I don't want Black people to look at me as like I could do something to them. My God. And I don't want to look at them as, wow, they have to go around dealing with, it's not right. It's just on those fundamental levels. And I'm not just going to do nothing. So, I almost called you nails. Nails and glitter, top 10. Yeah. Why do white people feel compelled to touch Black people's hair and bodies? Yep. Thank you, Jillian. Thank you. When you people like speaking the truth, especially from a white person, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I speak the truth about everything else in my life. Why wouldn't I talk about this? This is more important than almost everything else in my life, to be honest, because this is destroying our society. And a lot of people will say, oh, angry soccer mom, give me a break. It's economics. Well, they're right. It is economics. But systemic racism plays a very, very key role in economics as well as inequality. It's right in there. It leads to almost everything. That's why when we have these shows, you can bring up any topic you want and it will eventually lead to systemic racism in America, or inequality, or corruption, or bigotry. Everything seems to lead back. And these are all human constructs that we all just made up. And it's like money. If we all decide it's worthless and it's a stupid thing, and we're not going to say it matters anymore, and we're just going to pretend it doesn't work, then money doesn't work anymore. You can't have a human construct if people say no. And that's what I want people to do. Just say no. Remember that little campaign years and years back? How about this? Learn everything you can about anti-racism so you can teach other white folks. So from the bottom up, we can obliterate it from our nation, because it is one of the biggest problems, leads to everything. And I could go on and on, but I won't. We have tons of stuff to talk about. I want to know what you think. So Super Tuesday crushed me. A bunch of moderate candidates now have obviously backed Biden. But here's my problem. And I want to know if you agree or disagree. I don't think Biden's the right answer, because he's kind of like a befuddled dude. He's kind of out of it. He doesn't seem real with it. He seems confused. Okay, I'll just say it. It is troubling. And certainly in my white opinion, which I can't help it. I have a white opinion. I'm white. My privilege just kind of sticks with me. I feel he will be better than Trump. I feel he will not be good. I don't want him, but in my mind, as Nelson Glitter knows, anyone's better than Trump. I think he wants to be king and take over our nation and be a dictator like Hitler. That's my very strong feeling. So obviously I don't think that Biden does. I don't think Biden is very with it. And I get the feeling, I don't think he can stand up to, I really don't think he's going to do well against Trump, because Trump is the expert con man. He's totally full of shit. And he's really good at that. I think that's probably one of the only things he's actually good at. He's a bullshitter. I mean, like a professional. He's probably doing it his whole life. And I don't know how that's going to work. So I was just really hoping for progressives. What do you guys think? I mean, I think it'll be status quo with Biden. No offense. Sean King, I don't know if you guys follow him. I do on and off. Don't always agree. Sometimes do agree. It's not my place. I listen and learn. But Sean King is not like that man. He's been going nuts. He is up here for nearly 50 years. Joe Biden has publicly pretended to be a part of the civil rights movement. He's not exaggerating. He's not embellishing. He's creating an entire fictional storyline to impress white liberals and connect with the black voter. And it must be confronted. And that's what's hanging on to his Twitter page at the top. And then Bernie jumped in today. I don't know if you guys follow on Twitter. I'm trying to learn Twitter. Bernie said to Sean, you can't beat Trump with the same old kind of politics. What we need is new politics that bring the working class and young people into our political movement. And there's no perfect candidate. Okay. I mean, if I could model the perfect candidate, they aren't him or her. But are we going to save this Democratic Republic or not? And thank you, Jillian. That's very sweet. I'm embarrassed. I don't know if we can, but you guys, we got to try. I mean, you might not think we do, but in my take is this. If we become a dictatorship, Trump's going to close the borders and he's going to be Hitler. And we will slowly but surely have our rights. And if white people don't think they're going to have theirs taken away, they are fools. Just like Martin Niemöller said in Germany before they shut the borders, he regretted not doing enough as an academic to stand up and go against Hitler. And later, when Hitler let him out of prison, he would teach his classes. He's a professor, and say, he's the one who often spoke of this. First, they came for the trade unionists. I wasn't a trade unionist, so I didn't speak up. Next, they came for the black people. I wasn't black, so I didn't stand up. Next, they came for the Jews, and I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't stand up. And then they finally came for me, and there was no one to stand up. It's a very famous saying. And I learned that when I was a little kid. So I really feel strongly about that. And I think it's had a big influence in my life. He regretted that. So I don't want to ever have to regret that personally. So it's kind of a selfish thing I do. Okay, let me take some comments. Nelson Glitter, he flat out lied about volunteering for civil rights. Yeah, that's apparently what Sean King believes. Jillian, yeah, you're my best friend. Thank you. Thank you so much. You're really sweet. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this Jakes or Jack, or I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but I'm going to say it anyway. Do you think that any of the presidential candidates has our best interest for the Black community? How do you feel about reparations? Oh my gosh, I would love to comment on that. I've done it many times before. I don't know, because I don't know the hearts of the people. That's the problem. If I could be mind melded to their heart, I could tell you in a heartbeat. I started with the idea that I will not vote for a person who doesn't have a comprehensive plan to end systemic racism. And I was extremely disappointed. Hi, Jamie. Thanks for being here. Yay. Very, very disappointed. I don't even know what to say. I'm more like thinking this is desperation. I truly believe that Elizabeth Warren, although see us white folks, we're going to learn till the day we die. We're never going to be there. But with regards to reparations, personally, it is not my place, or as a white person, it is out of my lane to comment or say what I think. What I think about reparations is neither here nor there. It's not my place. It's not my business. I don't get to lead. So I don't have a comment on reparations. I know that sounds horrible. Les, yay, thanks for being here. I know that sounds horrible. I'm not whipping out. Obviously, I have feelings and I know what I think, but it's not my place to talk or say about it. It's the place of the people who've endured it and their ancestors who've endured it, for them to lead and talk about it and say what they need, not mine. And that's something that's really important for white folks to understand. Our opinion is inconsequential. Of course, we still like to espouse it all the time, but it's inconsequential. It's not our freaking business. That's my feelings. So I hope that answers your question. I know it's not the best. I think Bernie, for a while, I thought he had the best interest in mind. When he went backwards on the reparations thing without any explanation, he left my head spinning. I don't understand. I don't get it. And I think it's extremely important for him to explain himself, because I really think right about then he lost people who might have been with him. I mean, you can't say no. I say no to reparations. And he's this guy who we all know. I had a video I was going to play from like 25 years ago. I couldn't get it going, so I was late starting. Maybe I'll just play it right now and you can listen. It was him years ago. And I can't show it to you because, I put it up today. And it was amazing. He said the same thing, exact same thing he's saying today. He's been doing this for a while. With regards to Black people, I know he's learned a lot. I don't get it. I have questions, and they're big ones. But let me play you this. It's really short. I think you will be kind of interested. It's really short. This was him, might have been 30 years ago. I couldn't believe it. Here we go. Listen up. It's fast. Listen up to this. This is Bernie.
It's time.
Okay, that's a commercial. Sorry. I'm going to have to skip the ad. It'll be 1 second. But this could have been today.
I yield 3 minutes to the gentleman from Vermont.
Could have been today.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Boy, do I wish we had more time. Just a few points. Yesterday's Washington Post, the cost of healthcare. Here's the chart. United States, highest in the world. Everybody understands that healthcare in the United States per capita is far higher than in Canada, despite the fact that they have universal coverage, comprehensive coverage for all of their people. You keep using the word taxes. Let's not fool the people. In Canada, taxes are a little bit higher. But guess what? They don't have to pay $2,500 per person for private health insurance. That comes out of their tax base. 60 years ago, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, as president of the United States, fought for national health care for all people. In 1948, Harry Truman campaigned for national health care for all people. How has it happened that the U.S. today, along with South Africa, remains the only industrialized nation on earth that does not have a national health care system guaranteeing health care to all people? And I'll tell you how it has happened. It has happened not because of a debate over health care. It's a debate over economics. It's a debate over the insurance companies, certain physicians, the pharmaceutical companies, the medical equipment suppliers who are making billions and billions of dollars off of human misery. The medical industrial PACs have spent $60 million over the last 10 years trying to influence this Congress not to pass a national healthcare system. It's about the CEO of Bristol Myers Squibb, a large pharmaceutical company who makes $13 million in income in 1991, while elderly people cannot afford the prescription drugs that they need. And the reason we don't have national health care system is that the medical industrial complex is protecting the likes of Mr. Thomas First, the CEO of the Hospital Corporation of America, who last year earned, let me say it slowly, who last year earned $127 million in income running a hospital corporation at the same time millions of Americans can't get into the hospital. That's an outrage. Poll after poll shows widespread support for the Canadian healthcare system among their physicians, among patients, among their political leaders. Poll after poll shows widespread bad feelings, widespread unhappiness with a system that we have here in the United States of America. It is time the American people stood up and said, healthcare is a right of all people. Let's control healthcare costs. Let's do what the rest of the industrialized world does. Let us pass a single-payer national healthcare system. Thank you.
So thank you so much for listening to that. I wanted to play it, but something went wrong. What do you guys think? I believe that was 30 years ago, people. Okay. That could have been today. That was about maybe more. I don't know. 30 years ago. Actually, almost exactly. We're not doing better for our people. We're just not. So let me take some comments. So Bernie has a lot to say, and he's been preaching pretty much the same thing for quite some time. His reparations thing, I do not understand. And I'm not saying, well, if you would just explain, then I'll understand. But not explaining is definitely not good. So that's just my take. I think he made himself the enemy by doing that. Let me see. Jakes, I hope I answered your question. I'd be happy to talk more. I always am. Let me see. How could Trump become a dictator? He will only be in for 4 more years. Well, here's the thing. There's a number of ways, and I don't know if somebody in the audience wants to jump in. There is a number of ways that Trump can keep from having an election, extend an election. If my friend Neil was here, he knows all these ways, but he's taught me a number of ways. He is circumventing our Constitution. And what he's done is, and I don't want to get too into this, but he's done a power grab so that the 3 branches are no longer 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third. Okay. He's done a power grab, and he has this clan of senators around him. He's keeping all he's basically above the law now, and he knows it. And he is circumventing our Constitution. He has judiciary in place, and he clearly has something on them because they are kissing his ass. And the president was never meant to have all that power. They were meant to have 1/3, 1/3 of the whole pie. And he has more right now. When you have a president who is, above the law, we're screwed. So he can change laws, and I can actually write up something for you if you want to know. I wish Neil was here because he could explain it great. But there are things he calls a state of emergency. There are things he can do. He can close our borders if he thinks, and you know what? His clan will jump right in and probably, it's just scary. He cannot leave. There's a lot he can do. And I'm not explaining it well, but there's absolutely things he can do. I'm not being too dramatic. I wouldn't put it past him. He's a very bad man. One thing he can't do is the military can go against him. And I believe they will. But there's still a lot of stuff going on. So let me see. Bernie says, today, not 30 years ago, tens of thousands of Americans die each year because they don't have health insurance. Hundreds of thousands go bankrupt because of medical bills. The status quo is unacceptable. Half measures are not enough. We all need Medicare for all now. And I know a lot of people say, oh, no, but this is ridiculous. That was 30 years ago, and we rejected. This is crazy. People don't know what a democratic socialist is. They clearly aren't educated enough to know what communism is. This is crazy. So anyway, let me take some comments. So that, Jonathan, I know I didn't explain all the way, but I can go further. I don't want to misspeak. I want to explain it so that it's really crystal clear. Thank you. Ghost Killer. What the hell is wrong with Black people voting for Joe Biden? Pissed me off last night. I don't know. Tell me that. I don't know. But yeah, I think you're not alone. I watched, today I was driving around and I watched progressive radio, Sirius progressive radio. Oh my God, were they going off? Saying what the actual, what? Like, wow. He's not progressive. In fact, somebody on, this is really bad, kind of caught my attention. Somebody on Sean, what was it? Yeah, Sean King's thing said, right now, don't move an inch and don't look it up. Tell me 5 policies that Biden has. And I was like, oh shit, I don't know. I just think of him as like a attachment to Obama, and he looked good next to him because he's like, they were very playful and nice. And I don't know. I think he's a status quo guy. I think we're screwed. I don't see him standing up to Trump. I don't even see him being able to. I just think Trump will go, and he'll just be like, New. And again, I don't know him, but the him I see now isn't like good. Just on so many levels. Let me see. I think when people ask about reparations, they're asking, do you support us getting reparations? Would you support tax dollars going to repair Black communities? Oh my gosh. See, here's my thing. And I guess I don't really make this very clear. I support best practices for what Black people want. I don't, absolutely, 100%. If that's what the people want, then I'm here to support. I guess what I was trying to say is I'm not here to make policy, or what I think doesn't really matter. I'm here to support what the people want. So yeah, absolutely. Abso-stinkin-lutely, in a heartbeat. Thank you, Nails and Glitter. Yes. Oh God, of course. But I just thought he was maybe like asking, you're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I support, unless it's like, I support what the people want. The Black people who have their lives impacted by this. I support what they want. And, it's hard to say they because it's a huge group. But I think overall, I venture to say that, yeah, it's interesting. I also support a whole bunch of other things too. Personally, not as much of my business, but we need to do a lot of things. Reparations is one thing, and I support it if that's what the group wants, because I support them or you or, but also we need to dismantle systemic racism. I don't care how much money you throw at somebody. This nation needs to have a cultural shift, or we will just go back to just how it was, because we love how it is. That's all I can say. Why do I say that? Because I talk to white people and I see they're not doing enough. We're not doing enough. So clearly, we like something about it. Some are oblivious, but not in this day and age. You can't be oblivious. You can say you're oblivious, but like Jane Elliott always says, to her audiences of white folks. It's very simple. Stand up if you'd like to be treated the way we treat Black people in America today, and no one stands up. So we do know something, okay? Maybe we feel powerless. Maybe we don't get the extent and the depth of the sickness. A lot of us, 3 out of 4 of us white folks, do not have a single close friend who's not white. So how in the hell would we know the plight of Black, brown, and indigenous people and African Americans? We get it from the media and from TV and from the racist president. So, and from our parents and from the whitewashed history. And it's a complex thing. So thank you, Nails and Glitter. That's why you get the big bucks. You're like, wait a second. No, I don't. Appreciate your comments. Ghost Killa, fuck Democrats and Republicans, stay independent, my people. Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's a crazy place here. Jillian, as a Black person, Black people today will vote for anyone who will bring reparations and a Black agenda, whether they're a Democrat or a Republican. Yeah, that generally seems to be the case. I believe it. Yeah. All I do is, oh, Neil is here. Yes. I'm going to put him on the spot. All I do is I want to support. See, white folks aren't supposed to lead. It's not our place. We had our chance. We had our chance, and we blew it. We could have done this hundreds of years ago. We don't get another chance. We're really not trusted, and we've earned it. Sorry to say. And on an individual basis, sure, there are plenty of people who will trust white people. But like I say to the white folks that I work with, you must earn your trust. Every single person you meet, you're not to be trusted, and for good reason, because we have earned that reputation as a people. Now, you might not think, well, I'm not one of them, but you know what? Sorry, you are. And people don't want to be associated with that, but we kind of are. And so it's something that we need to understand. There will be people who will never trust us. Never. And that is the way it goes. And the only thing you can do, not tell people you're not racist. No one's racist, according to every white person I've ever talked to, is show it with your behavior and your support over time. And even then, you may never be trusted. You don't talk about it. You show it. And you don't deem yourself a woke person. That's not our place. We don't get to declare ourselves, it's a crazy thing. White privilege is really runs strong in us. And so there's a lot to it. But yeah, Jillian, I have no doubt that, yeah, I'm disappointed. But I'm going to vote for whoever the Democratic ticket is because of my extremely strong feelings about Trump. And I truly believe he's absolutely evil and would bring us back to slavery if he could. Just my opinion. He's a terrifying monster. So that's my take. Let me see. Pat, Blacks are tired of voting and getting nothing in return. Absolutely. Pat, how many lies? How many weeks of lying? How many months? How many years? How many decades? How many centuries? Dismantling systemic racism. Maybe I'm arrogant. Maybe I'm naive. This cannot be rocket science, people. We know what to do. We have solutions. We just don't want to. Take each individual category. Take policing and law enforcement and supposed justice system. Give me a break. We know what to do to fix things. We don't want to. It's disgusting. These are not things that, are inevitable. These are not things that, we just don't know what to do. No, yeah, we do know what to do. But the powers that be don't want to. And it's enraging to me. As you can tell, I'm getting a little worked up, but it's disgusting. Let me see. So Pat, absolutely. I can't imagine. I mean, I'm a white person. I feel like that. So my God, how could anyone not? I get it. That was the topic of one of last night's things was, let's talk about Black folks and brown folks and indigenous folks who are like, screw it, I'm not voting. And obviously we say, oh, let's vote for Trump. And they're like, you know what? Maybe that's what this nation needs, is to live their lie and close the cognitive dissonance gap. And at least right now, Trump represents America very well. And yeah, that's rotten to say, I guess, but it's true, because we don't have liberty and justice for all. And we don't intend to do it. And we don't intend to have it. We intend to talk about it a lot. So, I mean, he represents the general public. And if he didn't, he wouldn't be there, because we would have gotten rid of him. So anyway, oh my gosh, I could just go on and on. Nails and glitter. Oh, whoops, I skipped somebody, sorry. Oh my gosh, did I ever? Jex, and please tell me how to pronounce your name. I'm terrible. I agree with Pat. People are, I don't blame anybody. It's how many lives do you take? Neil, Kim, I am here. I just listened to you and reading everyone's comments. Neil, I was wondering if you want to, and if you can you shed some light upon why I would think that Trump wants to be king? And somebody asked a very thoughtful question about, well, he can only be president for 4 more years, so how could he do that? And I was trying to explain to them that he's circumventing our Constitution and done the power grab. And he has everybody in place. He has his clan surrounding him with the Senate. He has his judiciary in place who are kissing his ass. And it's like he has like pornographical pictures of them with some prostitutes on it. I'm just saying, I don't know that he does, but that's how they act. Like they're spineless. They're supposed to help with the Constitution, not help Trump get richer and more powerful. Don't even get me started. But if you have anything to say about how he can, close the borders, make an state of emergency where he can't be, I know you talk to me a lot about it, and I just would rather have somebody who's expertise, you're more knowledgeable. So if you can, let me see. Neil, sorry to put you on the spot. Pat, the system is only for the white supremacy agenda. Well, that's what it was made for and built on, and we haven't made it so that it's not. Our Constitution can be changed. That's, like I always say, if you listen to the Cornerstone speech, it is disgusting. I have it on my channel if you want to watch it. I have a guy who read the whole thing out loud. It's one of the most vile things I've heard some vile things. The Cornerstone speech by the Confederate States of America, is one of the most vile things I've ever heard in my life. It's disgusting. They hated the founding fathers. Why, might you ask? Because they were too liberal. Yes, you heard me right. They were too liberal. They designed a constitution that would change and grow with the people's will. And that really pissed them off. So they did not like the founding fathers, because the founding fathers, for good or for bad, wrote a brilliant document. They personally, obviously, could not live up to their own moral standards. And that's disgusting. But they did make a document that could grow and change. And they saw that slavery wasn't going to last there. In fact, there's some famous book written by a guy who says that's the reason they wanted to get away from England and nothing else. It's a theory, is that they saw England saying, we're not going to do this anymore. And they're like, oh crap, we want to do this. So, there's a lot of people who talk about this, but it's all relative. Those people actually thought the founding fathers were horrible for being so open-minded. Go figure, I don't know. But anyway, it's crazy. Lots going on. It's kind of what all we have right now is our Constitution, which Trump is, circumventing and going against the spirit of every second of every minute. But yeah, Pat, absolutely. Jakes, I have mixed feelings about this election. Our voice does not mean anything to them. Yeah, I'm really bummed that all the people who actually live in this nation and have lived it, endured it, and get it, aren't in. And again, that has to do with money. I think, and you tell me what you think, but yeah, I don't know. I thought Bernie and Elizabeth Warren were, but then when Bernie went just absolute, like silent on the reparations with no explanation, I was like, wow, simply wow. I mean, because it started off with Marianne Williamson just saying, my number one goal is going to be reparations. And I think, although a lot of people like Scott, like Philip Scott says, oh, Black people got that on the agenda. But I mean, and of course they did. But what I was saying is, in my interview I did with him, I was trying to explain that she made it an issue that the other candidates had to face, because in this election, because she made it her absolute number one thing. So when she did that, even though she wasn't going to win and isn't, she forced the hand. And when she went out, people just slowly stopped talking about it. So, I mean, I don't know. My head's spinning. This is crazy. But let's see. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I wish I could know their hearts. But okay, let me just nails and glitter. He voted for the war. He voted to make student loans outside of bankruptcy. He voted against busing. He voted for the predator bill, and he lied about civil rights work. Nails and glitter is referring to Biden and Bernie and Sean King's just real problem with him. Bernie says working people aren't struggling to afford healthcare, prescription drugs, and higher education because of bad luck. Our government and our economy are rigged in favor of the wealthy. We need an economy that works for the people, not just the 1% and huge corporations. It's kind of interesting because the video you just heard was from 30 years ago. And he's been saying that for 30 freaking years. The guy has indomitable spirit. I'll give it, whether you hate him or love him. That. Have you said anything for 30 years over and over and over to audiences and been ignored for 30 years? He's doing something for us. It's not a matter of saying someone's perfect, but he might be the most, he and Elizabeth Warren seem to get it the most, in my opinion. But what do you guys think? Who cares what I think? It's like, I don't know. This is crazy. Thanks, Nails and Glitter. Goskilla, y'all see these fools around the table telling Donald Trump he is the first Black. Wait, what? What? Okay. Y'all see those fools around the table telling Donald Trump he is the first Black president? So many cells in the Black. Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. But again, Moppy, it's not my place to judge Black people. It's just not. I don't know how I would be if I had to live in this. I'm hoping I wouldn't be like that, but how would I know? But yeah, it's upsetting. Neil, can I play devil's advocate? Absolutely. Unless it makes me look bad, in which case, no way. I'm just kidding. Whatever you want to say is perfectly fine. Nails and glitter. I'm okay with Trump if he makes white America as uncomfortable as he has. Okay, and that's something that Nails and Glitter and I've talked about. And I don't want to speak for you, but because it's not a column today, Nails and Glitter is thinking kind of like this, and correct me if I'm wrong. You know, what I was saying before, he is showing who we are. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Now, my take on it as a white person is we're going to lose our Democratic Republic if it's not already gone. And if it's not too late already, it might be too late. I don't know. But see, for a lot of Black people and brown people and African Americans, it was never here for them. It wasn't here for them. It's really not a loss in that regard. Sure, a dictator, things could get much worse. I have absolutely no doubt if you follow what Hitler did. But for a lot of Black people, the system has never worked for them. And I'm not speaking for Black people. This is what Nails and Glitter's telling me. And anyway, I am blabbing. Jillian, if this country goes to hell, which is most likely we'll find a place. Which is most likely we will find a place in Africa and have yourself an African plan. And Jillian, that is what Philip Scott is kind of. I don't know if you follow him. He seems really about that. And I'm not sure, but I think he really believes that enough's enough, and I don't blame him at all. But yeah, no, I want to move. I'm not even Black and I want to move. I don't want my children raised around this bullshit society that is cruel to our own humans. Not at all. Okay, Neil, we're ready for you. Trump's ability to be king or dictator is simple and the easiest and fastest way to declare martial law and bring in the military to control the masses who would try to stop him and riot. Right. If he declares martial law, he can do a lot of things. Neil. Whoa. And he would use, also he would try to use the military to help him, basically. Yeah, go on. Tell us more. Jillian, former Democratic presidential candidate Marianne Williamson was the only, I talked about her. Right, she was the only person I would vote for, but with her gone, I'm not voting this election. Sad, but true. I get it. I'm sad, but I get it. She might not have everything perfect. She might not be, this perfect candidate, but she came out there and said, this is my number. I don't know if her numbers were quite right, but there are people to help with that. She came out and said, this is my number one thing. And for a moment, I had a fantasy but then the fantasy went away. I don't know. I understand as much as I could. Nails and Glitter. Democratic Party options indicate racism on both sides. And I get that. Absolutely. But I'm sticking to my guns. There is racist and there is racist and there is racist. There are levels of racism. I mean, I think, like I said, I think Trump wants to be Hitler. Wants to take over. His dream come true. He loves Hitler. I mean, his ex-wife that's now been quieted, probably with money, I'm guessing. Before she was quieted, she did interviews saying how he loves Hitler, has his book on the coffee table or the nightstand. And it was disgusting. I mean, if you look at old things of him, you learn his eugenics. Oh my God. He is a eugenicist. He believes that, and he's just a sicko. He's beyond sick. So I think there are certain levels, but some worse than others. But that's just that's my opinion. Let me see. Neil. Okay, playing devil's advocate. My question is, what has the Democrats or Republicans done for Black people that would have them continue to support either party? I hope people are answering that right now. And that's for you all to answer. Bring it on. That's a great point. And I think that's kind of what we're all saying right here. Julian, I'm pretty sure that's what he's saying, Absolutely. And I've heard that. That's not the first time I've heard this. I've heard that from plenty of people. Not the majority, but plenty. Nails and Glitter, nothing. That's why I'm an independent voter. Yep. And Pat, there is a reason why they don't want the Blacks here to come together with the Black Africans in Africa. Tell us more. I think that, if you follow Philip Scott, he has a lot of good theories on that, but tell us more. You know what's so funny? People call me all the time during the show and they know I'm doing the show. It just makes me laugh because it's like, I've been doing the show for like over a year and they still call me during the show and say, hey, is the show going on? And it's like, I'm going to kill you. It's funny. But anyway, yeah. So I have some serious concerns about this whole thing because I don't think Biden stands a chance of standing up to Trump or doing anything once he's in. But I do have one question that I'm just going to say one little comment on. I want to know what you think. What if Biden gets the nomination? I know a lot of people will be very upset. What if he pulls in, this is crazy, Michelle Obama for his vice president? Just saying. Tell me what you think. All right. What do you think about that? Okay. Let me see here. Another comment. Nails and glitter. What would America do if we leave? Our children's slavery fuels the economy. Yeah, I don't know how that would work. I don't blame anyone for doing whatever it takes. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the money to leave. And that is a big issue. And that's been systemically made possible by our government, not allowing people to accumulate wealth. I mean, I could say that till I'm blue in the face. Okay, Gus Killa. America would be dead if blacks leave. Jakes, I can't think of one thing. I think it's gotten worse for black people. School to prison pipeline, nails and glitter. If we start leaving, they would stop us. That is an interesting point because they're making money off of our little, I call them our because they're babies. I believe all children are children of all of us. It's just kind of, I'm not like trying to take, it's just when I see a child have something happen to them, it's like my child's having something happen. And I don't know if that's normal, but that's how I feel. And it's sick. And you're right. Private prisons are one of the most disgusting things I've ever heard of. Making money off of the sorrow of others. And it's kind of funny. My little girl came up to me today, and I was talking about the death penalty, and she really doesn't know what that is very much. And I explained to her how vehemently against it I am. And it was kind of she doesn't understand all this stuff yet, which is fine. She's very young in that way. And I'm not pushing it on her because her time will come, But it was interesting, very interesting. There's so much she has to learn about this. And when I think of the police, I have a video out on, and not a lot of people saw the video. Maybe it was kind of a lame video, but I liked it because I basically explained to white folks that these police officers at our schools, they're supposed to get like the bad guys. But I'm sorry, I don't think there's a single case of a bad guy they've gotten. But what they do really well is get kids so that they have a record for being a kid. And guess who the first kids they get are? The black kids, the brown kids, the indigenous kids, the kids who are not white. And we've seen it, and that is how they do it. So basically, we think we put police in our schools. That's all happened in the last couple of years. Police in our schools to protect us from shooters. I don't think they protected us from one. I don't think there's a single case. Honestly, I looked it up once. But what they are doing is they're taking our babies out of school and making them criminals for things that are normal for kids to do. And as a person who worked in Compton Unified School District during the LA riots, if we had police there in our school, half our school would be taken. They were kids. I broke up fights like 3 a day on the playground. That's what they do. They make up in 5 seconds. They're fine. But these children would be expelled and we put into the bad kid category. It's unbelievable. If we had that back then, I'd have 10 kids in my class because everybody just a kid. Now, I don't teach nowadays, but I've got to believe that acting like a kid shouldn't be against the law. It's just crazy. Really fast, I'll tell you one of the things I always did. I was 23 years old, and I didn't know how to break up fights. They didn't show me. And I was an idiot. So what I do is I'd grab one guy, and then I'd hold that guy, And then the other kid would punch him. And I'd be like, oh shit. It was really fun. And it wasn't funny. It was just like, I didn't know how to like do it. So I was thinking, I'm like the person holding the guy so the other guy can punch him. But it always worked out. Everyone was fine. Nobody had anything too bad happen. But oh, I wish I knew what I know now about martial arts and stuff like that. I was terrible. But I was innocent. But yeah, I loved my children. That was an incredible experience. Except not the riots. That was horrible. Okay, I'm going to show it. I was innocent, but yeah, I loved my children. That was an incredible experience, except not the riots. That was horrible. Okay, I'm going to shut up an office. Yeah, a lot of people have, I've heard that before. Neil, Trump could also use the influx of people coming into the country or an epidemic like, thank you, the coronavirus, to declare martial law that would keep him in power. Just something to think about. So thank you, Neil. You are helping tremendously. I knew you would have. Neil actually was a, I will say, famous syndicated radio program talk show host for a number of years. And he has like connections and he knows stuff. So he's incredibly great and helpful with us. So if you have questions, you can go to Neil. I'm volunteering you, Neil, but he's been incredible. Nails and glitter. Everywhere they put a resource officer, arrests go up. Yep, absolutely. Can you imagine being arrested for being a kid? That's terrifying. That's absolutely terrifying. Yep. Let me see here. Gotta go. Peace. Oh, Moppy, thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Always happy to have you here. Pat, look, if blacks here connect with the African Americans there, it would be very powerful because we can teach the Africans how the white supremacy agenda works. Because, Pat, is this what you're saying? Is that many people go in there and they go into the African areas and the folks there are very innocent. They don't know the depths of the sick cruelty of systemic racism and personal racism. So they are maybe a little naive. And so they get completely taken advantage of. I'm guessing that's what you're saying. I'm not sure. But yeah, it would take away a huge, oh yeah. If that's not what you're saying, then let me know. I want to speak for you incorrectly. And we would help them stop the China takeover in Africa. There we are, right there. There we are. I'm making you blush. Well, you need to blush. Sorry, Neil. Yeah, they just arrested a 6-year-old child. You're talking about the little child that's has a disability? That was unbelievably sick. And it was kind of strange to me because the staff at that school were a lot of black folks, but the police came in. And if you're a police, how could you? My God, it's no comment. And I'm a special ed teacher, and that is so traumatic. That's unbelievable. But I think that's what you're talking about, right? Nails and glitter, the little girl who was handcuffed, a little baby girl. She will have that with her the rest of her life as a trauma. And it's disgusting. Yep. Disgusting. And I honestly, I'm not a little Miss litigator or litigious, but I hope that mom sues the living shit out of that school district and the police and everything. If somebody did that to my kid, oh my God. I couldn't watch the video. I was that anyway, I wanted to quickly get into something that you're going to think of, a mean old lady. Democratic socialism versus communism. I did a video on it and I tried to come up with something that people would understand because the Republicans are trying to influence people who are not as knowledgeable to believe that having socialist programs or social welfare programs in a democracy means you're a communist. And it's just, It's ridiculous. It's not the same thing. So I made up a very, very simple little thing. I'm going to say it to you. You can tell me what you think. It's too late. I already posted it. But to teach people, and don't hate on me for it. Don't. And this is what it is. I'll just kind of spiel it off and see what you think. See if I lose the audience. Let's say you live in a purely capitalist society, and the only place to get a drink is your lemonade stand, and it's a very popular lemonade stand. Sales are going great. It seems like no matter how much you raise prices, the people just keep coming back. At a certain point, the poorest people can't afford a drink anymore. So this is what you do. You tell them that if they just try a little harder, maybe work a little harder, then they'll eventually get a drink. And this is what I did for my video. And, in a couple of years, if they live, let's say you live in a democratic socialist society. Well, the only place to get a drink is a lemonade stand, and it's very popular. Sales are going great, and it seems like no matter how much you raise prices, the people just keep coming back. At a certain point, the poorest people can't afford to have a drink. So this is what you do. You thought about this ahead of time, and you figured that this might happen. So you took 2 cents off of every cup sold and kept it aside in case someone was dying of thirst and really needed you. You could make sure that they were taken care of until they got back on their feet again. Let's say you live in a communist society without any social programs. The only place to get a drink is your lemonade stand, and it's very popular. Oh, wait a second. If you live in a communist society, you don't really own the lemonade stand. No, it's owned by the people. In other words, the government owns it, and you're lucky that they assign you to work there. And that's a huge difference. So I hope that kind of shed some light. Pat, they manipulate the Africans because they don't know. So the white supremacists try to keep American blacks from connecting with the Africans with all the lies. So the white supremacists try to keep. Oh, are you saying? I'm just a little confused. You're saying that people try to stop Black Americans from telling them the truth so that they know how to defend themselves against manipulative, powerful supremacy? Is that what you're saying? Like they don't want, like white folks don't want them to be told? Maybe just explain more, because I think that's what you're saying. I don't want to misrepresent you. The next thing. Okay. Yeah. No, I believe it. You guys, if you're a white person watching and you're kind of a beginner, do not ever underestimate how absolutely vile and cruel and sick this whole white supremacy gig is. It's bad. It's a joke. We're not superior. We know we're not superior. And anyone who thinks they are is living in a fantasy world. And I don't know why people do it. I can't answer for it, but it's complete bullshit. White people aren't superior. It's ridiculous. And it's, I always say, if the best thing you ever did in your life is get born white, what the hell's wrong with you? I'm not ashamed of being white. I'm ashamed of the behavior of white folks. How could I be ashamed of being white? Like people get that way. It's ridiculous. I don't have any shame. I'm pissed. Not at myself. I'm pissed at white folks who are acting like goddamn fools and being rotten to my fellow humans. That's what I'm pissed about. But I am a vile woman. Okay. Nathan Wood's death. I wanted to explain a little bit about this man's death. And don't get me wrong. I'd do this for anyone. As many of you know, I consider myself a humanist, not a Democrat, not any, that's the only label I'll give myself. I don't affiliate with any other labels. I am me. That being said, since I was 12 years old, I adamantly have upheld the idea of state-sanctioned murder. Now, you might think, is she talking about police killing people? Well, yeah, that too. But no, right now I'm talking about capital punishment. Blacks can go to Africa right now and get land to start a business. Right. That's what he was talking a lot about. I saw a video on it. Interesting. Yeah, maybe I was asking if I could post the video I did, but he didn't answer back. And it's been like 5 days because I want to put it on my site because I want people to see it. Jillian, Democrats have done nothing for blacks. We voted for them for decades and get nothing out of the deal. That's how you feel. I don't blame you one bit. So I am completely against capital punishment. I know many people are not against it. I happen to be one who's adamantly, since 12 years old, am against it. Why do I call it murder? Because euphemisms like capital punishment, no, they are murdering a human being. Okay. I'm sorry. I like to be real, as you might have noticed. Euphemisms sanitize, and there's nothing clean or pretty or neat about purposely taking a human being's life away because we can. It is barbaric. And that's not just my opinion, although it is my opinion. It's like a person who beats their kids for discipline. They've just really just kind of given up. You know, I mean, I'm doing a very gross analogy, but people, this is what I was telling my little girl. People who do bad things, they need our help. Not to torment them for 20 years on death row and then put them in an electric chair and watch them sizzle. That's disgusting, barbaric. It speaks to who we are as a people. You'll note no other place does that anymore. It's us. It's just us. Julie, Democrats are more racist than Republicans because the Democrats smile in your face, but show their true selves behind closed doors. Well, that's kind of what some of my friends have been saying, is at least we know what we're dealing with. Yeah. And stupid me keeps having hope, you know, I just keep having hope that look at somebody who just gets it and helps shift our sick culture. Life doesn't have to be this way. I just know it. It doesn't. It's like the weirdest thing. It's enraging. Yes, I understand what you're saying. So my reasons for being against the death penalty are great and are great in number, and I won't get into it. You'll be like, no. A man named Nate Woods, is set to be murdered tomorrow night in Alabama. Raise your hand if you knew that. He is going to be murdered by our government. The state of Alabama will kill him. Let me tell you a little bit about this man's story. It's not the most extreme I've ever heard, and I'm sure they will do it. They will murder a person because they can. It's disgusting. It makes me want to throw up. I won't do it here. Don't worry. Nate's co-defendant, just hear this. It's just stuff. This stuff's unbelievable. Nate's co-defendant, Kerry Spencer, who's, I think he's dead, actually. I think they actually, well, listen to this story. Confessed that he was the trigger person. He confessed he killed 3 police officers. He was sentenced to life without parole by the jury for killing the 3 police officers. But the judge imposed the death penalty because they can do that in Alabama. Oh, yes, they can. At least they could then. Nate, who was tried about 3.5 months later by the same judge and prosecutors, was sentenced to death. 10-2. He never held a gun. He never pulled a trigger. He didn't know his friend was going to do that. Damn. The jury was 10-2 vote on unsubstantiated theory of accomplice liability. So he got the same people, worse off than the guy who pulled the trigger. Now, a lot of people believe he is actually innocent. I'll jump right in. Nails and glitter. White people have been telling us forever, if you don't like it here, go back to Africa. But if we actually do, we're extremists, right? Oh, no, you can't win. Of course not. No, dude, you can't win. White folks won't let you win. You can't win because white folks just won't allow it. And I mean that in every way, shape, and form. Of course they won't. You do it and you're a bad guy, you don't do it and you're a bad guy. It's ridiculous. The things that we've seen, oh my goodness. So this guy thinks nails and glitter. It's sad to say. No, they're not going to let black people win. We're not going to let black people win. It's just how I feel. So they were killed by Spencer, this man. He acted alone. Nate always maintained his innocence, as did all the witnesses who were with him during the shooting. Nate at first refused to come outside. Now, he did refuse arrest on a warrant that might have been invalid. I don't know. But surviving officer Collins testified that he heard Nate say, "I give up, I give up." And then one officer maced him in the face, and his friend shot 3 of them. So this guy's going to be killed tomorrow for essentially resisting arrest or not handing himself in, and because his friend killed the officers. I don't even know where to start. That's just the beginning. Witnesses and evidence tampering went on. 2 key state witnesses were coached, intimidated, baited for their testimony by the DA. The DA brought a memory expert to meet with one of the witnesses a few days before the trial. The expert repeatedly asked the witness the same question over and over again until they changed their answers, despite attempts to say that they didn't see it that way. So, I mean, it sounds just awful. The witnesses never came forward until Nate's new post-conviction counsel became involved in February of 2020 because they weren't aware of the tactics were illegal to trick people into it. So another witness was intimidated by the state into providing untrue testimony after they threatened to take her child away. And let me tell you, they do those kind of things. When they want you, they will try to get you. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. It's just we have a corrupt system. This man is scheduled to be put to death tomorrow at 6 p.m. With all these witnesses. They say they take her child away, so she basically gave untrue testimony. Additionally, the first evidence the technician on the scene had for the shooting, there was tampering of evidence. He was maced in the face, and then they shot, his friend shot them. So he was disabled. He was, not able to do anything. He wasn't involved, supposedly. And when the report came in, the report said nothing about him being maced in the face. I mean, this is just, I'm already absolutely opposed to the death penalty, but this is disgusting. They're going to kill another black man who is very likely innocent, or at least doesn't deserve death. My God. One of the most overlooked and critical facts is that the state offered Nate, this young man, he's not young anymore, a plea deal. 20 to 25 years after Spencer's June trial conviction. But Nate's trial began in October 2005. And he didn't know that, he didn't understand that his, not 40 to 60 years, not life without parole, not life with parole, not life without parole, but non-capital offense, 20 to 25 year sentence. After his counsel failed to inform him that he could be sentenced to death on a theory of accomplice liability alone, Nate rejected the plea. His attorney had never tried a case like this before. He didn't know he could be sentenced to death, and his attorney didn't tell him. So, yeah. Terrible mitigating circumstances. So many other things, and I don't want to keep getting into it. It's awful, and he will be killed by Alabama tomorrow. I find it absolutely disgusting. Anybody want to say anything? Pat. They just released a man who spent 43 years for a crime he did not do. A white woman lied on this man and he went to jail at the age of 18, and it was in 1977. Oh my God. I told you guys a while back, about 3 months ago, a lady approached me to do to try to publicize one of her cases, and I was absolutely going to do it. But when I get that, I have a moral obligation to tell them that their attorney has to say it's okay, because I'm not going to, no matter how popular or not popular it is, I'm not going to destroy someone's case so I can have a good video or whatever. So I always have them do that, because this woman I ended up making sure she was going to the what's it called? What's that organization called? Oh my gosh, I am so tired. I'm blanking on it again. But they work on cases that are completely bogus, and they're amazing. It's a bunch of attorneys. And I sent her there, and she's still doing it. But this happens all the time. I mean, this is what you're saying, Pat. She told me this story. We talked for 3 hours, and what a story. Oh my God. I'd love to, after she works it all out, I'd love to interview her. People have no idea how sick this stuff is, how corrupt. The last thing I want to talk about today is the Milwaukee shooting. There was a press release out an hour, okay, maybe it's been 2 hours now, about an hour ago on this. And it's really sad, and I want to know what you think. I want to read through what happened. It's disgusting. And I hate to be the soothsayer of doom here, but I believe this with all my heart. On Wednesday, February 26th, there's a deadly mass shooting in the Molson Coors Milwaukee campus, they call it. It's a beer place. They make beer. Current and former employees of the Molson Brewery in Milwaukee say there's a long-held culture of racism, including racist cartoons placed in workspaces, the N-word scrawled in break rooms and bathrooms, and nooses hung at the facility, one on the locker of the employee who killed 5 coworkers there last week. He was a black man. And it's really quite... Mr. F.S. Black, hello. Thank you for being here. We're just starting to talk about this Milwaukee case of this man who tragically killed 5 people and himself, and the role that racism played in this, and also the way the police and the community were trying to deny it. And just listen to this and tell me what you think. It sounds so classic. Police say there's no motive provided for the rampage, which ended with the gunman, Anthony Farrell, killing himself inside the iconic brewery that has produced Miller beer for more than a century. They say we just don't know. There's no motive. And that's what first came out. And then people started obviously looking into it and going, yeah, right, liar. Police have not said that. Police also said racism did not play a role in the shooting. Really? Listen to this. Tell me it didn't play a role. I don't believe that was a factor, said Milwaukee Police Chief Alfonso Morales during an interview on the news station WTMJ. Farrell, who is a black man, worked as an electrician at the facility for 17 years. 6 current and former employees and others with knowledge of the brewery said overtly racist acts have occurred there for years. Oh, Pat, thank you so much for being here. But I'll send you, we'll talk about this story. All right. Thanks for being here. You're wonderful. Sorry your phone's dying. That's terrible. The noose was found on Farrell's locker in 2015. He wasn't at work that day, but he was told about it. And there was a meeting of human resources. The employees also described the workplace as a place where minority workers were subject to racist language and taunts based on their skin color and their religion. One said, everyone knows the environment we worked in. It's just a sad situation that it actually occurred, said former brewery worker Joni Muhammad of the noose on Farrell's locker. Molson Coors said Farrell was not working that day that the news was reported. Our HR team notified him of the incident, and it was investigated fully. No camera footage was available to show who placed it on there. The company said that it offered security and human resource services to Farrell, but didn't say whether he made use of them. Adam Collins, the company chief communication and corporate affairs. Listen to this. This is ridiculous. This sounds so classic. Let me see. This guy named Adam, who's a corporate affairs officer. Tell us more, Mr. F.S. Black. This is just terrible. Said that he didn't directly address the employees' allegations of racist culture at the facility, but in a statement, he said that the company investigates every single complaint of intolerance or harassment. He didn't address the freaking employees, but that wow. It's why we have terminated people for certain behavior we believe is unacceptable. Can we be more vague, please? This is total bullshit. It's why we've tried to create safe spaces for discussion on diversity and inclusion in the Milwaukee Brewery and across our network. Now, I'm not there. I don't know. But the wording is just way too familiar. But there's no two ways about it. We must do better, Collins says. Fostering an inclusive and welcoming workplace is something every organization has to work towards each day, and we aren't going to shy away from our responsibilities to take a deep look at our own culture following this event. Now you'll get to hear the real culture. Mohammed, who worked at the brewery from 2015 to 2019, said he endured taunts from coworkers about his name, the fact that he was a practicing Muslim. They called him Jamal or Salami. I don't really get that, but it's probably something derogatory. I'd hear jokes about me putting a bomb in someone's car. I'd hear jokes about me putting a bomb somewhere in the building all the time, said Muhammad, who was 32 years old. He doesn't work there anymore. I never took it to management because there was a time when a guy was making a joke in front of a supervisor, and it was a racist joke. The supervisor didn't do a thing. So he knew he was on his own. This guy's saying this. Police investigated a shooting at the Muslim, the 26th. Mohammed said the stress of the environment took a toll on his health, and he ended up getting so much anxiety, gaining so much weight. He had thoughts of calling a suicide line. This guy who was being traumatized at work. So he finally quit. Current and former employees said the brewery department was notorious for talk of racism and sexism. It's a good old boys club, is what they said. There was a saying at the brewery floor: no blacks, no bitch, no bitches. Said a current employee who did not want to give his name for fear of jeopardizing his job. A former brewery worker did not give his name because he didn't want to affect his current employment, but he said there was constant harassment there. It's a culture of harassment, constant nitpicking, constant racial things that were done and allowed because the complaints fell on deaf ears. Sounds like a real nice place to work. Robert Powell, a sanitation worker at the plant from 2013 to 2018, said he saw the N-word scrawled in bathroom stalls in the brewery, swastikas carved into locker room walls. He recalled a conversation with Farrell, the other guy, in 2016 while they were on break watching college basketball games. He was a cool guy, didn't show any type of aggression, Powell said. But when Powell, who is black, said he was thinking of applying to transfer to the brewery, Farrell said, they will hate you down there. They will hate you. So Anthony Farrell, the man police say killed the 5 people, was a quiet man. And they say that made him a target because he was a quiet man. I mean, this is this whole thing. Raylan Claiborne, 39, a machinist who worked for the brewery for 13 years until he was fired for missing work, said there was a panel room in the brewery department that served as the central nervous system for beer making. He alleged that white employees hung racist cartoons there, including monkeys, blackface, characters eating watermelon, and they remained there until a black employee would remove them. We were immune to it. That was the norm, this guy says. We would just take them down. Molson Coors said it was not aware of racist cartoons being displayed at the plant. Well, of course they weren't. Some employees recalled racist acts in other departments of the brewery, a sprawling plant that employs 1,400 people within its towering red Miller sign and mural deeming it the home of the high life. A guy named Renale, who worked as a machinist for 2 years, recalls an incident where in a driver's break room where Black employees were congregated, on the room's sign, somebody scrawled the N-word in front of drivers and then wrote, "All N-words must die" on the wall. Okay, these are like various people over the years coming up with, these stories aren't a secret, said one man. The current employee said he witnessed a noose duct taping to the locker of another employee in 2012. Nothing to do with the other one. I mean, this was a freaking free-for-all, people. He said the company investigated but didn't figure out who placed that noose either. Coors wouldn't comment on that one. Employees said that the noose on Farrell's locker was discussed at a brewery-wide meeting held in the Stables, which is a historic room that once housed the horses as a meeting place. Ken, a guy named Ken, can't pronounce his last name, then the brewery manager, led the meeting and said to employees, "Obviously, this is not right. We don't tolerate this. We need to respect each other." And that was it. It's kind of the thing you'd think someone who didn't know crap and didn't give a shit would say. This guy's now retired and living in Minnesota, but declined to comment, saying it was not in his best interest to speak. Collins said the company has indeed had all plant meetings when concerns were raised. Here's the problem. They paid really well, and it can kind of turn you into a prostitute to the abuse, and it's a horrible thing. Electricians he's an electrician, he's a very skilled person, earn more than $32 an hour according to the union, which made some workers afraid to rock the boat. I mean, they'll just fire you for anything. You can't force someone's heart to be good. They'll say it's not from racism, but you know it is, and they can say it's something else, and you can't prove it. So they didn't want to rock the boat and lose a really good paying job. But the culture of that company was very, very toxic, according to Claiborne. If I wasn't making $30 an hour, I would not be working at a job like that. State Senator Lena Taylor, a Democrat who's running for mayor of Milwaukee, said she had spoken to employees since the shooting about what she characterized as a racially toxic environment. Based on the colleagues, what they've told me, they had to deal with a lot. So do I believe it was a contributing factor? Yeah. The racial harassment was a contributing factor. I don't see how it couldn't be. Basically, these people were having free-for-all. Racism was rampant. It's disgusting. In 1984, I mean, you will guess why right now. 1984, Milwaukee plant was still owned by Miller William K. Coors, then chairman and chief executive of Adolph Coors Company. He was quoted as saying that Black people lack the intellectual capacity. The Los Angeles, the chapter of the NAACP, I'm losing my mind, called for a boycott, and more than 500 Southern California liquor stores stopped selling the beer. The company signed agreements with Black and Hispanic groups to hire minorities, invest in minority-owned businesses, and increase the number of minority distributors. They forgot one really big thing. Stop being fucking racist. Sorry. So great. So they brought all those people in so they could be rotten and evil to them, and then pay them so that's messed up. 1994, Miller Brew Company paid $2.7 million to settle a racial harassment suit brought on by a black worker at the company's Fulton plant in New York, according to. So, I mean, this is a known problem. And this man, I'm guessing, couldn't take it anymore. And he went in and he just decided, I mean, he went crazy. It said coworkers have been subject to harassment that includes racist graffiti, nooses, racial slurs, broadcasts over the brewery's public address system. The company closed the plant shortly before settling the lawsuit. and started laying off workers. Let me see here. Beer sales are going downhill, but they just keep laying off people. Somebody said his personality made him a target. He was a soft-spoken guy. And that's all I have. And now I will read what you have to say. Sounds like the Christopher Dorner case. Mr. Dorner was an officer on the LAPD who witnessed racism and corruption, and as a result became a vigilant. Yes. Okay, I just didn't know the name. Sounds like they fire a person who files a complaint or just completely ignore them. Yep. Christopher Dorner killed several police officers before meeting his end. It's really sad. Forgot one really big thing. Yeah, they did. They certainly did. You guys, this is a messed up world we got, but I cannot thank you enough for being here, putting out a video tomorrow, the next day, on the coronavirus and racism. And it will sound very familiar to many Black, African American, Indigenous, and Brown folks. What is happening to anyone, not just Chinese people in America, anyone who happens to be from one of the 48 countries, or their ancestry happens to be from one of the 48 countries in Asia. They are all by definition Chinese now, according to our little racist folks. I'm going to do a video on that, and you will get to see the lovely, disgusting racism. It'll sound way too familiar. And I'd like to say that people are just up in arms about it, but they're not. Nor are they up in arms about our systemic racism. That has been happening since the beginning of our nation, and way before that even. So that's my next video. If you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I have videos that range from totally psycho to calm, teaching, very nice, like proper, and everything in between. And I have a few other videos on there that from people that I just love. So please consider subscribing, ring the bell. I try to get out. My average is 5 videos a week, but it's quite, sometimes I'll do 2. I'm not overly consistent in the last couple months, but normally I do about 5 videos a week. And I want to know what you think. And I have one last comment. I was wondering, I'm thinking of possibly stopping the Tuesday night show, because what I'm thinking is it was originally meant to be a panel show. And because so many of my friends are, understandably not wanting to put their face on a panel in this kind of cultural environment, it was supposed to be a no-brainer where I just sat in the corner, they talked and did their thing. And it didn't turn into that. It's been a call-in show. So I am talking with some of my friends about possibly just making maybe part of this show a call-in show at the end. Or I want to know your 10 questions. I do too, because I haven't been getting a lot from people. But Brotham, thank you so much for being here. Or 10 questions whites have. Ooh, that's a good one too. That's a really good. Maybe I'll do both. Yay, you gave me good ideas. I'm going to ask some of my friends, I think, and people are a little shy to say, or maybe they don't want to think about it, or they're just, to be honest, a lot of Black folks that I know they're spent, they're done, they're exhausted. It's exhausting. It's just exhausting. They don't want to talk to me or anybody. They're just like, So, I mean, I understand that. And that is why I'm extremely thankful for everybody who comes to this and talks, because before I used to be able to get this around more. When I had, a whole bunch of groups with I had a group with 37,000, a group with 5,000. But now that I'm off of Facebook, gee, thanks for that, and kind of destroyed the people that I was working with and all that. I don't have as big of a, following, you could say, or friends. So I can't get this around as much. So I'm just kind of counting on people who like it or say, you know what, if you know a white friend that wants to learn and they seem like they really want to learn, show them my channel. Maybe steer them towards the calmer I have a series. It's called Anti-Racism 101. Calm, nice, non-defensive, sweet, darling. Anti-Racism 101 is totally benign. If you're a white person and you're like really stressed about all this stuff and you just don't want someone to like blame you and you're just feeling really defensive, watch that one. That's like I'm just like a little teacher in there. And I mean, I teach the people, but it's just a very sweet, nice thing. And some people say, oh, that's adhering to white fragility. But you know what? At this point in the game, I try to meet people where they're at because you know what? Things aren't going well. And obviously I don't want to acquiesce to people, but if they want to learn, I will meet them where they're at. And it's come to that. It's not best practice, but it might be now. It wasn't 10 years ago, that's for sure. But I don't know. I'm at a loss. Where's my mission statement? Oh, you can look at my I don't think YouTube, the company doesn't like you. YouTube's been fine with me. It's Facebook. We don't do well together. They won't tell me. And then I complained and it's a long story. I actually made a video about what they did and how pissed off I am. But it's called This Is Personal. They destroyed something that's really dear to my heart. And I lost, and of course they had to make it look like I blocked everybody. I had like 20 people going, why'd you block me? Because luckily I had some people on other things like, because they took my messenger. Listen to me. I'm like, can I have counseling, please? They took my messenger. I was devastated. I mean, I'm joking now, but I was devastated. Jonathan, I love that idea. But YouTube's been fine with me. They've been absolutely fine. A lot of people aren't happy with YouTube, but I haven't had a problem yet. But Facebook has screwed me over. They won't even tell me what I did. They completely erased all my stuff, and it made it look like I was blocking all my friends. And they gave me something to download everything I've ever written on there. And they will not tell me what I did. So I've been in Facebook jail twice. Not for very long. And then they just got rid of me. Deleted everything. That's Messenger, my homepage, my 4 groups that I ran, and my page, Angry Soccer Mom page. But about a month after they started getting really weird, I put my husband on and he doesn't do this. He supports me, but he doesn't do this. I put him on as an admin. And so that's how I can get into 2 of my groups. But yeah, Stevie, hello. Facebook is just, I probably have 6 or 7 videos that tell of the just corrupt crap. One of them, I explain why they're so racist. Because of their policies. I read a really great article a while back on their policies, and they don't take into consideration the power differential. They do not understand it or don't care, or I don't know. But if you say the N-word, that's the same as saying the word white. Yes, you heard me correctly. Calling someone a white person is the same level as calling someone the N-word. Go figure. It's disgusting. And so that is, they just don't care. I think he's absolutely racist as F-U-C-K. Just adding things up. He's met with, just watch the videos. I go off on him on the videos, but what can I say? I definitely have an opinion, but anyway, thank you so much for just being here and talking about this. And Jonathan, I'll get you a mission statement. It's actually, I think I actually have that on my YouTube. Gary, hello. Facebook hits on progressives and liberals far more than bigoted conservatives. Absolutely. It's unbelievable. The weird thing was, I only got in jail twice. And it wasn't even it was like for a week or something. And then it was over. I was kind of surprised. And what happened? It ended when I complained. And I said, why am I getting in trouble? And then I said it again, and they gave me a bunch of crap. Like, well, we don't know what you're talking about. I was like, how can you not know what I'm talking about? You took my freaking account and did something with it. They stopped posting all my stuff. And so I said, they're not posting any of it. And I want to know why. So I was nice. And then they wrote me and said, well, call this department. Call this department. They said, they don't know what I'm talking about. And then a week later, they ended my account. So I'm like, dang, I want revenge. Just kidding. But anyway, thanks, you guys. So thanks for the support and have a great night. I think it's only going to get more crazy if that's even possible. But anyway, thanks for being here. And I will see you somewhere online or, yeah, Julian, welcome to the life of Black. Oh, yeah, it's crazy. I could go on. And I kind of do. But I will see you, if not before, next Tuesday and Wednesday. If you can come, I would love it. And bring a friend if they're into talking about this. Okay. And definitely get your white friends over here if they're open, because I don't have any left. So it's like, anyway, thanks, you guys. Good night. Great comments, everybody.